Today we got a little woodworking project. I'm going to be making a shelf out of pine that I had some laying around. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little woodworking project. I'm going to be making a little shelf that's going to be mounted above the table that I refinished in my last video. I'll post the links right here in case you haven't seen it. So I've drawn up a little sketch and I will show you that and we'll get started. Alright, so here's my sketch. I kind of already had an idea of what I wanted. I just kind of sketched it up, but threw a couple dimensions on there just to give me an idea of what I needed to cut. So the next step we need to do is to cut some wood. Alright, so I went ahead and cut the top and bottom pieces. They're both 16.5 inches long. The top piece is 4 inches wide, and the bottom piece is 8 inches wide. Next, we need to cut the two sides and the middle support. All three of those are the same, and I'll show you how I marked out this curve right here. So let's get started on those. Alright, so this is the layout for the side and the middle supports. I already cut this piece to 6 inches high. I went ahead and measured 4 inches for the top and then 8 inches for the bottom. And then I kind of just freehanded this curve into it. So what we needed to do next is to cut this out with the jigsaw. And then I'll go ahead and trace this piece onto two other pieces, and we'll need to cut those two out so that way they're all the same. And then we'll probably have to do a little bit of sanding because the jigsaw will probably leave a rough cut right here. Alright, so I went ahead and securely clamped this piece of wood to my workbench. We're going to go ahead and cut this out with the jigsaw, and we're not going to cut right on my line. We're going to go ahead and cut on the other side of it, that way we can sand up to that line and make it nice and smooth. So let's get started. So you can see it kind of made a rough cut. I probably need to use a little bit finer blade. But I'll go ahead and sand that and make it nice and smooth. But I need to transfer this onto two other pieces of wood and cut those out. So I'll do that and sand these up, and then I'll bring you on to the next step. Alright, so I went ahead and cut all three pieces out with the jigsaw. I then clamped them together, made sure they were all lined up. Clamped them together and clamped it to my workbench, and used my belt sander to knock off most of the material. Pine is a soft wood, so it's really easy to sand, so you kind of got to be careful. Sometimes when you use a belt sander, sometimes you have a tendency to kind of rock back and forth when you're sanding, so you just got to try to make sure to keep it flat. There's a way though to check to see how flat you are. If you do have a square, just run it along down the side and just run it along and see how close you are to being flat. I'm pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is take my orbital sander, which you can see the belt sander kind of left a little grooves in there. So I'll take my orbital sander and kind of finish this up, and then I'm going to sand all my pieces and get ready to glue them up. So another thing you want to keep in mind though when you're sanding these is that not to go past the 4 and the 8 on the bottom, or these pieces will be short of your top and bottom and it'll look kind of funny. So just a heads up while you're sanding these and not get too carried away. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this up. I went ahead and marked the centers on the top and the bottom pieces. That way I know where to put the center one. So I'm just going to use some regular wood glue. I'm not going to skewer or nail it. The wood glue should hold it. It should be fine. So let's glue this guy up. And I'm going to use some clamps. Ooh, it's not glue. To clamp it up. Wonderful. Make sure everything is flush on the sides. A little pressure. might need a little persuading. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let this dry and then come back and do a little bit of touch-up sanding, and then we'll stain it. Alright, so now we are all dry. Take these clamps off. There it is, all dried up. Gotta do a little bit of sanding, and then we'll stain this one. So I'm just taking a piece of sandpaper and just going over all the edges and kind of giving a little bit, just easing the edges a little bit. If you're staining something like this, you want to make sure you remove all the glue, because if you do, the stain does not absorb into the glue and kind of leaves it as a white spot. You want to make sure you get all the glue out of there. If you're painting it, you kind of don't have to worry about it because the paint will go right over it. So next step I'm going to do is the table that was in my last video had a nice had a detail around the top edge. I'm going to go ahead and mimic that same detail with my router and a bit. So I'm going to get that set up and then run that through and then sand that up, and then I think we'll be ready for stain. Alright, so now I'm all set up to do this edge detail. This is something you don't have to do. I just wanted to do it to match the table that this is going to be by. I did a little test run, and that's the detail that we're going for. Sorry about the lighting, but so that's what we're going to do up here. So I'm going to get started. Sand that up, and then we'll get to staining. Alright, there it is, all sanded up, brushed off and cleaned up. Now we're going to throw some nice dark stain on it, the same stain that I used on the table to match. So I'm going to stain this, let it dry, and then we'll come back and put a finish on it. Oh, look at that. Nice. Alright, there she is, all finished up, stained up. We'll let this dry, and then throw some finish on it. Call it good. Alright, stain is dry, and now we're going to put our finish on it. I'm going to use the same finish as I did on the table as the wipe-on poly. So we'll get going on that. Put a few coats. I think on the table I put 2 coats. Let's probably go ahead and do the same. Got a nice lint-free cloth, helps so it doesn't leave little lint on your little lint particles on your finish. Alright guys, there it is, all finished, stained in 2 coats of polyurethane. I'm going to go ahead and hang this up, and I'll show you that next. Alright, there it is, all hung up. There's the table from the last video. And there you go. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that little DIY project. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, facebook.com/wildmanproject, or you can follow me on Twitter @wildmanproject. I usually like to throw a couple little photos up there of some teasers for you. Or if you have any questions about my project, go ahead and send them my way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.